So yeah, with DJing, I made up my own rules, play by my own rules, which I liked. But uh, if, for instance, I was hired to play for a wedding, then I would say insistently, you must tell me. I want to some discussion with you about songs that you absolutely do not like and do not want to have played, and discussion concerning what you do definitely want to hear. Feel free to compose the entire playlist for a fucking wedding. Like, I mean, it's also tricky and stressful crowd gauging there because you've got so many generations. You have to consider what songs the grandparents may enjoy to have played, and then their enjoyment in the songs that all the children enjoy, primarily songs for the bride and groom as the focal party, and your address of them and playing their songs for them. But I found that to be the most challenging type of crowd to deal with. Like retail work, most of my DJing consisted of what's wanted. There's a big difference because when you practice at home, you're exploring, or more you're more inclined to, because essentially dead air is what they don't want, but transitioning can become very easy and brief, and it's only a few seconds required, really. As one song switches to another. You just have to avoid the prospect of silence until you're exempt from your set or a part of your set. So then you start to get into the technicalities, and I wanted to buy and track down someone had written and published a book on what could be like the various things that can be done with the type of mixer that I own. And I wanted that, but just the conversation I had at JB Hi-Fi was inspiring enough for me to get a bit imaginative myself. And I got into teaching myself to read beats per minute of using the manual tap on the mixer, and then the lighting of the channel lines. And kind of flying blind with what BPM readout you're getting on the seated turntables, thereby ruling out the need for headphone wearing during mixing. That was a challenge, but there can be times where, like, if you're in a club, in a nightclub, and you're too concentrated on your mix and a fight erupts, for instance, in the crowd, then you also need to be ready to grab the mic and alert security or cut the music. I always enjoyed just cutting the music completely if there was a fight, because I wanted whoever was starting the fight during my gig to know that this fight, these songs are now not to you, whoever started a fucking fight during my set. So I would do that, and that was my attempt at liaising somewhat with what security guards do. Yeah, what I think is that it's actually better and getting better, but now I think, like, for instance, the DJing software app that I can get on this phone it's made things too parsimonious. So it started out as DJing was, there were limitations on the controls, and so a DJ, like Bowie's song DJ, isn't necessarily, it's like his question mark would you even consider a DJ an artist? And so I would think of that, but it's really has changed with time, because the tech accords you the more control over the dynamics of the mix, in terms of beat matching without pitch adjustment and effects. And so in doing so, I would argue that it suddenly became a recognizable art form. And but yeah, there was 7 of us had a 1 hour slot each at the closing night for a club called Toast, which was a club so lax that its crowd was so chilled and wanting to hear new stuff. So I had 1 hour. A friend gave me one hour for the gig of Toast closing night, and I just for the first time I played one of my own mashies and I watched everyone dancing, and I would wonder, like, does this actually sound like a legitimate remix that you might find a buyer or pirate? And by the dancing, it seemed that they were saying yes, so that was very good. Yeah, I invented come back next week, even because if I don't have your song on request, we'll write it down now. And if you come back to this venue when I play next, which will be, and when you're a resi, you get one night of the weekend, at least, for every weekend. So it's a good way to, well, you have to then make sure that you do acquire the fucking songs that they want, but it's a way to tie in the provisions of your service with frequency of particular club, and yeah, I was cool with that. I was cool with being asked, like, what if we make out under your mixing desk? And I was like, well, there's a sheet here. Fun times. I miss my 20s. Beginning of my 20s. First half, perhaps.